Hello, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Ice Cream Uploads here on Monday, the 22nd of August. My name is Bibby, aka We've Got Beanie, aka Top Guy Bibs, and I'm live on twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads with your Monday's edition of The Scoop. I hope that you've all had a fantastic weekend of probably doing nothing. Even though the weather was pretty decent again and everything this weekend, it doesn't look like it's going to be raining for the foreseeable in Manchester at this moment in time. That is what the BBC weather app is telling me. I don't agree with it. I do believe that we are going to get something at some point. But it says for like the next 10 days, it's not going to rain. I believe it when I don't feel it. Do you know what I mean? I believe it when I don't feel it. For those of you that were wondering, also, that obviously there was no episode. There was no stream yesterday. I still feel a little bit ropey, as you could probably hear with my throat as well. It was my best friend's wedding on Saturday. It was a long old day, obviously, being a groomsman. And there was a lot of shouting, a lot of drinking, a lot of good times, a hell of a lot of pictures. Apparently, there was 1,800 pictures knocking around from the day for the photographer. So Christ knows. I can imagine. Have you seen those videos that were going around like, this is my name's Bibby and this is my first pint, and then the one at the end like, this is my last pint and you're absolutely full. I imagine the days as the days gone on, the pictures have progressively got worse. So I'm looking forward to seeing them as well. So congratulations to the Reeds, or Sevenfold, as you may already know him in the chat as well. Good friend of mine, Mike, I've known since I was 7 years old. So yeah, yesterday was no laughing matter. That's why he didn't get one, unfortunately. But I was in no fit state to be able to boot up the stream and, play some video games. I haven't been in this room this week. Usually on weekends now, unless I'm streaming on Sunday, this room does not get touched. It doesn't get opened, which is why when I come in on a Monday, I've still got plates from my dinner on Friday. I've still got drink glasses. I've got like packets of crisp, I've got genuinely 7 of these bottles of water just next to my bin, not even in it. It's an absolute shithole. It needs tidying big time. So it's probably something that I'm going to do after work today. But anyway, you're not here to talk about it. You're not here to listen to me talk about how my weekend went. I want to know how your weekend went. I want to know, did Graham get any dubbies on Saturday? I know Graham is not here for this week. You will not see Graham on Ice Cream Uploads for at least, I don't know what he's doing on Saturday. He flies back on Friday. So I don't know whether or not he's going to be jumping on Saturday. I doubt it. I'm fairly certain he is off as of Friday for a week as well. So it's probably going to be 2 weeks that you're not going to see him from unless he decides to stream on Wednesday or something. But I will be back on Sunday streaming from this room. I don't know what. Probably Saints Row, actually, because that comes out this week. There will be no scoop tomorrow either because I will not be here. I'm doing super secret things that I can't talk about just yet. So there will be no episode of The Scoop from either the studio or from Manchester. We'll be back on Wednesday with that as well. Time dependent because I've got a lot of stuff to be able to get through on Wednesday as well. Again, I can't talk about any of this stuff. It's super cool. I can't wait to be able to talk to you guys about it, but I just can't mention what it is or what I'll be doing just yet. Looking back through the chat then, nice and early, JMK says time. Morning-ish all. The chat bot is now up as well. That's why the starting soon screen was lingering for so long, because I seen that, I think it was teed up at exclamation mark chat bot. It wasn't on. That reminded me to turn it on. So that is now up and readily available. So good morning, Tito. Good morning, JNK. Itani's in nice and early too. Chappers is here with, is that a Limmy? I think that's a Limmy emote. I can't quite make it out. Chapper says Bibba. All right. I don't know who packaged your stuff up, by the way. When I put when someone put your name and address on your label for your subathon t-shirt, I don't know who that was. It was somebody. By the way, I haven't got really small hands, by the way. This is just a really large glass, for those of you that are wondering. It's like fucking hell size of that. Size of that moth. Enzo says, bollocks, it's raining here. It's genuinely not. It's really warm outside still. I mean, my camera might fall off because I've got my curtains closed because it's so bright. I mean, these curtains, I won't even call them curtains. I've got blinds and then curtains, but look, this is how much light still comes into the room. I've got no other light on, barring the one that I've just turned on here. And that's how light it is. I don't need any other lighting in this room. It's just because I'm facing the window, it all comes in at me, which is great. Unless it's really, really bright, and then I'm fucked. Welcome to Weather with Bibby. Enzo says, shh, don't tell Bibby. Enzo, you're in Scotland. It's always raining up there. That's very true. JK says, great comeback from City yesterday. Nice to see the underdog coming back and scraping a draw. I agree. That De Bruyne pass was absolutely filth. But I think overall, after watching that game yesterday, I think a draw was probably a fair result. Like, we did have them pegged back pretty much the entire second half. However, their first half performance definitely warranted them getting something from that game, and to go 3-1 down at St. James's and still manage to get something back. I'm very proud of what they managed to do yesterday. I still think Gundogan should have scored. Like, he pretty much had an open net and hit it straight at the keeper, which is highly annoying. You'd expect him to bag that. But Haaland it in the post as well, and their keeper making some fine saves. Ederson had to get called in quite a few times. But I think on the basis, it probably was a draw overall. I'm very happy to take a point over at St. James's. It is Limmy, says Chappers. Tito says, I got you, homie. Chapper says, the fittest weatherman I've ever seen. Well, I'm definitely not fit in terms of running. I'm a big guy, you know. But in terms of good looks, hey, that's me. No, but. Stunner. There we go. But anyway, you don't need to talk about how good looking I am. Just look at any of the videos that we have over on our YouTube, which is where this podcast, nice little segue there, we'll be heading after this has been completed over at twitch.tv/ice cream uploads. We go live each and every single weekday at 10 a.m.-ish. It's now 25 to 2, but still, we're going live with the content. It'll get moved into an MP3 over onto SoundCloud, which will then get forced out over to the likes of Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud. I think I've already said that one. There's one more. But anyway, just listen to it on Spotify because that's where most of you are listening to this. I mean, iTunes was doing okay. Google Play, no one uses Google Play, do they? Because I've said Google, my phone's just started kicking off. Hi, how can I help you? I don't want you to help me. I can do my own shit. But anyway, this is a scoop. We go live each and every single weekday at 10 a.m.-ish over on twitch.tv/ice cream uploads. You know the vibe. You know what to expect. It's a video game news podcast show. It's usually myself and Graham that would be doing it, but for this week only, for just this week and probably next week, it's just going to be a boy. So it's going to be a dollop. We've got 5 news stories for you to be able to go through today. We'll ramp this. We'll start to. I hate talking just on my own, especially when I don't have somebody else to be able to bounce off. So we're looking at about 45 minutes for this podcast. So if you are driving, get another one queued up if you are doing a long distance drive, because this isn't going to be the 14-hour show like me and Graham usually end up doing when we can't shut us up. So yeah, that's that out of the way. Tito says, I've only been up a couple of hours, so I'm glad that you're late for a change. I was throwing axes and drinking IPA until... Mate, do you have a job to go to anymore? Because it always feels like you're either on holiday or you're out drinking. You are the gold standard of living at this moment in time, my friend. And I'm very envious of what it is that you are doing with your life. Because you always seem to be on holiday, and I'm a massive advocate of that. But yeah, we've got some news stories to start off with you today. I didn't actually open any of these up, so I'm just going to do that now. And then we'll jump into them. But you may have seen it already being published out on social media today, our lead story, and that is the fact that Ubisoft are developing a Blade game for Marvel. Now, before we jump into this, thoughts and hands up. Did anyone actually ever play the Blade games that was on PlayStation? I think Blade 2 came out on PlayStation 2. Can't remember. I don't remember playing that one that much, but the original Blade game for the PS1, what a game, by the way. It was amazing. So I'm glad that we're getting something like that. It's obviously not going to be that kind of game anymore. It's going to be something completely different. But this one, I think, who was it that submitted this? I want to say JMK submitted this one for us. It was JMK. There you go. Do you know what I mean? Like, my brain is fantastic. But we'll move into this news story then. Oh, did you see that? Woo. News. Written on Game Rant by RORY Young, he states that Ubisoft are developing a Blade game for Marvel. Now, this is only a rumour. I've seen this on other websites as well, and they aren't stating that it is a rumour. Or they're not leading with that. They're just taking it as gospel. As far as the eye can see, which is my eyes, which aren't that bad, which aren't that great at this moment in time. Definitely need glasses. But anyway, Marvel is currently working on an increasing number of game developers and publishers to create licensed projects between Insomniac Spider-Man, Square Enix's Guardians of the Galaxy, and the upcoming titles like Wolverine Midnight Suns. The library of Marvel games is the best it's been for a very long time. Marvel isn't showing signs of slowing down either. There are rumours that multiple Marvel projects at Electronic Arts will now be a rumour that Ubisoft could be working on a project tied to Marvel's upcoming Blade film. The Blade news stems from multiple Instagram posts from a Ubisoft motion capture session. The Instagram posts come from 2 different people, actors Alex Martin and E. Gaffney. Martin's Instagram post shows him in a full capture suit with a tag featuring Ubisoft's logo on it. He also adds that a Ubisoft mention in the post. Sorry, that's at Ubisoft mention in the post. Gaffney's posts are where it gets especially interesting, though. His first post also mentions Ubisoft as well as hashtag Ubisoft Games, which just confirms that it is a gaming project. The second post the second post confirms that it is also a Marvel project. In Gaffney's second Instagram post, he is holding a clapperboard. The clapperboard lists Marvel as a production. In other words, the clapperboard indicates that Ubisoft is working on a Marvel project. There's more, though. Can you believe this? This is stacked. The clapperboard also lists B. Tarek as a productions director. Basim Tarek is currently directing Marvel's upcoming Blade film. The implication of the post from both Marvel and Gaffney is that Ubisoft is working on a licensed project directly tied to Marvel's upcoming Blade film. The reference to Blade's director would tie it to the film specifically and not a generic Blade game. That would make it more akin to the Iron Man game trilogy from 2008 to 2013 rather than Marvel's Spider-Man's or Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. There's certainly a greater stigma associated with film-related games, but there's no point in making assumptions about a game that's yet to even be confirmed. What must be noted, though, is that everything about this leak is entirely clear. Basim Tariq is directing the Blade film, but it's very unlikely he's directing a Ubisoft game. That could imply that the Marvel film is using Ubisoft's motion capture studio for the film, but both Martin and Gaffney's Instagram posts mention video games. It could, of course, be entirely normal to reference a film's director for a game based on the film. It's just worth mentioning as interesting. If Ubisoft is working on a Blade game based on the Marvel's upcoming film, the official announcement would likely be coming next year. The Blade film is scheduled to release late in 2023, and the video game would assumingly launch around the same time. Hopefully, clarification is provided regarding Ubisoft's involvement with the Blade film before long. Whew! I just heard my voice echo outside because the window's open and I live on like a little cul-de-sac. Not on a cul-de-sac. Yeah, I live on like a little cul-de-sac. So I've just heard my voice reverbing through all the houses, which is fantastic. Watch the scoop. Scoop. There we go. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it does look like all signs are pointing towards a new Blade game. Do you know what? It completely went over my head. Now, I do remember talking about this, maybe on this podcast, that a new Blade film was coming out. I didn't know when. I don't know who was going to be starring in it. So this is kind of a twofold for me. We could potentially be getting a new Blade game, but also we're getting a little look at what potentially we are getting from the Blade film. Now, the original Blade film was probably one of my favorite films. It was touted as the thing that actually saved Marvel from going under. It was the film that kind of put Marvel back on the map in terms of making films, and saved the studio overall. So I'm glad that this is kind of coming full circle now, because I feel like we've let Blade go for so long without having any kind of. I mean, I'm not talking about the TV series, because apparently that was hot ass. For the people that I probably sort of trust as sources for their TV entertainment. I'm talking about Wesley Snipes, ladies and gentlemen. I'm talking about getting that sword and just shredding down waves and waves of vampires. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Whistler bringing shotguns and creating stuff for Blade to go out. They were fantastic films, and I feel like we are missing out on that kind of vibe. Like, the vampire thing has kind of came back in, went again. The Blade franchise was something completely different. And when did the original Blade film come out? I was really young. Blade film. Little cough there. The original Blade film was 98. 98. I was 7 when that film came out. Crikey. Blade 2 was pretty decent, and Blade Trinity, I don't remember that much of, if I'm being honest. But I remember watching the Blade films. I've watched them 1,000,001 times, the first two anyway. And I remember playing the absolute ever-loving shit out of the game as well. I loved them both. The second game, I definitely didn't play as much. 100% definitely didn't play as much. But the first one, go onto YouTube after this. Go and have a look at it. It's a really, really good game. For the time. I can't imagine going back now. I'm going to have that much fun playing it. But at the time, it was brilliant. So, the fact that Blade is making an appearance in Marvel's Midnight Suns, fantastic. Need more of that. Obviously, we've had Blade go into Fortnite as well as the Funko Pop character that all of the Fortnite world seems to have. I never bought that skin, actually. That would have been a nice skin to be able to run around in. But I hope that both the film and games, if the game is coming out, does it justice, because we've not had a Blade franchise, anything from the Blade franchise for so long, that three things coming at once, including the Marvel Midnight Sun. We definitely could be doing a lot better. I think it would, this day and age, now, I think Blade would probably sell quite well, depending on what the storyline's like, depending on how good the lead actor does as Blade. Because Wesley Snipes got it down to a T. Like, it was, again, I might have to go back and watch it again. I can't imagine much of the CGI has held up well, but that entrance scene where they walk into the nightclub, and what's the tune that goes through? I know what the tune is, I just don't know what it's called. But when he goes into the nightclub and all the blood starts coming from the sprinklers and stuff like that, is iconic, man. And then Blade just turns up, starts making a circle with his sword, and you know the vibe. I need to watch it again, man. It was such a good film. I'm going to read the comments. I've just seen someone comment above. Tito says 2 days holiday. It was my birthday on Friday, so needed 2 days to recover from the hangover. I am old. There were Blade games. There was Blade games, Tito. Nope, never played the Blade game, says JMK. Big fan of the original film, so it's going to be an open world then, because Ubisoft are making it. Yeah, maybe. JMK says, not sure about the feel about movie games. They aren't always great, even when the movie can be great. Yeah, but I agree with that. But we are past the shit shovelware that we used to get from older gen consoles. Like, I do feel like the direction that they went in with like Marvel's of the Guardians of the Galaxy, by the way, that was a brilliant game. I'm yet to finish it. I'm so close to finishing it, but I've just seemed to put it down and never picked it back up again. But the fact that it was based off of none of the films was probably a good thing, and they didn't have any of the original voice actors in there. They didn't really have the likeness from like the Chris Pratt Star-Lord and things like that, so I think that probably went in their favor. So I'm very interested to see if they was to make a video game version of this, what it would do. When they do make video game movies or games of the movies, they don't seem to last that long, do they? They're not long games. I do remember Wolverine Origins being a pretty good game though, way back when. JNK says echo. Chapper says I still never seen Blade, but I respect that it was able to save the whole studio. Mate, if you've not seen Blade, you need to watch it. Like, I don't know where you could probably watch it. I can't imagine it being on Prime or Netflix. Is it on Disney Plus? Is it a Disney film? I'm gonna have a look. Disney Plus Blade. If it's on there, that's exactly what I'm watching tonight. I think it's just a TV show on there. I don't think it has the films. The Blade Marvel trilogy is heading to Netflix. That was on Game Radar on March 24th. Yeah, so it might be on Netflix. I don't have Netflix anymore, so Christ knows. But it's definitely worth a watch if you've never seen it before. What you've gone down in my estimation. Base in the place, London. Says Tito. Tune, mate. Chapper says, you didn't have that early in your estimates anyway. Tito says, not true. Okay, maybe a little. 98, that explains it. I was at most 1, says Chappers. I was 18. Fuck me, I'm old. Yeah, I would have been... It came out in 98, but I was born in December, so chances are I was probably 7 when that came out. Because I don't know at what point, I don't know what month it came out. It was probably earlier in the year. I can't imagine it being after December 9th. Is what I'm saying. So chances are I was probably 7. But anyway, fantastic. I'm hoping to see more of this. I hope that we are going to have some justice being put back into Blade's name. And maybe if we get a decent film, maybe getting a decent game over it again. So it's back in the media again. 98 hours stoned, says Enzo. Fantastic. Right, so I've got another 4 news articles there. I'm just trying to find, because I seemingly haven't clicked on one of them. I think it's this one here, which kind of leads us nicely into two Sega stories. So first of all, we might as well start with the mascot. This fella here. We might as well start with some Sonic news. How's about that? Let's do that. Sonic Frontiers seemingly releasing on November 15th, according to the retail link. This has been written by Stephany Nunneley over at VG247. Nunneley, not Nunneley. I don't know where I got that from. Nunneley. Sorry, Steph. But anyway, a retail shop in Taiwan seems to have confirmed a November 15th release date for Sonic Frontiers. Let's play that. I'm just going to mute that. Furthermore, the listing states that the game will receive a batch of DLC after release, and that's been said via Reddit. If the date sounds familiar to you, it's because it's popped up in the PlayStation database at one point before being removed. Thanks, Nintendo, everything. First glimpse at the Game Awards 2021, Sega stated at the time that Sonic Frontiers would arrive this holiday season on PC, PlayStation, Switch, and Xbox. It's the latest 3D entry into the Sonic franchise and follows a blue blur as his friends as they go after Dr. Eggman, who's lost control of an ancient technology. It will feature an involved gameplay experience where players will be able to explore lush and expansive landscapes with Sonic's signature speed and abilities. Sega said to expect many twists and turns at every corner, and that additional details will be revealed ahead of the game's release, which we aren't too far away from now, so hopefully we'll get something soon. This game will make an appearance during Gamescom Opening Night Live this week, and will hopefully release date will confirm at the time. If you are heading to EGX 2022, you'll be able to get your hands on the game, and EGX takes place on the September 22nd to September 25th at the Excel Centre in London. So, Sonic Frontiers. I'm still trying to work out whether or not it's going to be an half decent game or not. And obviously, I did have the trailer playing there in the background while I was reading through that, so I didn't rewatch it again. But an open world Sonic game in 3D. I'm still trying to work out what I want to see from this game, because from the trailer, it doesn't look like an awful lot is going on. It doesn't look like the world and environments are that inviting. Like, let's just take this for instance. Let's get rid of that. So if you can see this, if you're watching this on our own YouTube content or over on Twitch now, this is meant to be Sonic looking over the world. Let's make this bigger. It's meant to be Sonic looking over the world. Now, as much as I can see trees in the distance, as much as I can see a giant mountain that you're probably going to be able to run up, then be able to slide down, jump back up, slide down, jump back up, slide down. You can see the rings over in the distance. You can see this big tower thing here, but look. All this barren land that doesn't have anything going for it. Like, there's so much open space that you can see trees over here. You can see some branches and stuff like that. So obviously, because he's on top of a stone here, he's probably got trees and shrub underneath him there. But this doesn't look very inviting. It looks boring, is what I'm trying to say. It doesn't look very inviting. And for a Sonic game, usually the details are what make it a worthwhile experience, and that will either be when he's running around the loops, whether or not he's flying through the air, whether or not he's jumping over spiked floors. Like, I understand that this isn't a 2D game. I understand that open world games are what most people are thriving for nowadays, but there is certain things that I do think work better in their old style, and that is obviously what I'm sort of referencing, the old school Sonic games and Sonic Mania. I mean, was it Sonic Generations that split the time between 2D and 3D? I apologize if it's not, because I'd never played it. But I can appreciate what they was trying to do with that. I just don't think this is the one. I don't think this is going to do very well. I feel like with the open world 3D-ness of what we're going to be seeing from this, I could completely have my mind changed this week over at Opening Night Live when they go to show this game off again, and we end up seeing, like, this is obviously a year old now. This is 1 year old over at the Game Awards in December. That's when this would have been shown, and that is what we said. Like, they've had 9 months worth of polish since then, so it could look completely different. Could look glorious. It could look amazing. So I'm open to having my mind changed with this one. I'm just, from what we've seen previously, I don't think it looks that great, and that's coming from a huge Sonic fan. So again, hopefully we'll get to see something a little bit more. Michael Jordan's in PGA Tour 2K23 as a pre-order bonus. What the fuck? I need to have a look at that. Has that been? I did see the trailer before. The trailer that got put out didn't have any sound on, which is obviously a social media manager's worst nightmare. You're advertising the game for the first time, and then there's no sound in the trailer, which did feature The Miz, which I absolutely adore. That's a bit of a nightmare. So I haven't seen any other details from it yet, so I need to see more of that. I wish Sonic games were more consistent, but every time they make one good one for every 8 bad ones, I agree. I agree, and that's the most frustrating part of it because it felt like they had the formula nailed down with Sonic Mania, and I understand that having a 2D platforming game nowadays is been there, done that. It's old school. No one really wants to play that kind of stuff anymore. However, I don't believe that. The fact that Sonic Mania sold as much as it did because it had the love, care, and attention of the Sonic community making that games, which was obviously then employed by the Sonic team to be able to go and create this game. Like, that's what I want to see more of. There's a reason why it sold so well, because that's the kind of thing that people wanted. It's just difficult. Like, everyone wanted a slice of that Mario 64 pie. Do you know what I mean? Like, that came out and changed the way that 2D transitioned into 3D when it comes to a 2D platforming game. It's very difficult to try and achieve that. Like, Mario has gone on since and made things like Super Mario Sunshine and Super Mario Odyssey and things like that. Fantastic games. They've managed to nail that formula down, but not everything can transition as well as that. Imagine like Alex the Kid transitioning into a 3D open world thing. That wouldn't work either. It just doesn't work with everything, unfortunately. And I do believe that, again, open to having my mind changed with this one, because I do really want a good Sonic game. Whether or not I'm getting a 2D adventure, whether or not I'm getting a 3D open world game, I don't care. I just want a good Sonic game again. So if we can get that, I'll be very happy. Yeah, open world games have been there, done that too. I agree with that. They are a dime a dozen. They are everywhere. However, some do it way better than others. And the easiest, simple thing is to take a character that everybody loves and sticking him in an open world environment. But it needs to be a worthwhile experience. You need something to be taking players' attention constantly. Like, you need to go over here and go and find the rings in that particular place, and then you need to go to the very top of the map because there is some underwater segment, and you need to go over there and get the rings from that. You need to go and find the Chaos Emeralds over in the east part of it. Like, that's what it needs to happen. It needs to be constant attention grabbing. Like, Robotnik's coming after you in this particular area. You need to take him out. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's very difficult to write. As you can see, I'm not a novelist. Not very good at writing anything that kind of takes people's attention and multiplies it by 1,000, so it keeps your attention for so long. But telling a story is very difficult, especially when you're going to have millions of people playing that and trying to digest it, which is why TV shows and films and books fall on their ass, because the stories aren't being told very well. Now, you take a character like Sonic and you put him in a film, like the first Sonic film, which people are going, what the fuck's that? What's that blue thing? That's not Sonic. And then they change it, and then it turns out to be one of the best video game adaptations being put on the silver screen that I've ever seen. It's probably in my top 4 or 5 video game movies, and believe me, there isn't that many of them that are any good. The second one was okay. The first one was definitely better, and I feel like Jim Carrey obviously carried that, being old school Jim Carrey. But trying to write a story that involves a character as well known as this, a mascot for one of the best selling consoles of all time, very difficult. So I don't envy them trying to create something that's trying to get my attention, and then somebody else who's an open world enthusiast trying to get their attention, then someone who's a massive Sonic fan and trying to get their attention. It's a very difficult line to be able to toe. I just hope that they absolutely nail it, is what I'm trying to say. Especially ones with fuck all to do in them. Just go and play any of the Ubisoft games from the last 6 years. Do you know what? I disagree with you on 2 points. First of all, The Division was fantastic. Second of all, Ghost Recon Wildlands, that I'm currently playing through, is a fantastic game. Drop the ball with Breakpoint. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, being someone that hated the Assassin's Creed franchise after playing the first 2, I feel like they definitely could have done so much better. Valhalla is definitely a step in the right direction with that as well. So I do think that they've got form. Far Cry, it'd take any of them. I've loved them all, barring the new one, which I still haven't played that, which I'm very disappointed in myself for not doing. But Far Cry itself, and Far Cry Primal, I wasn't too keen on that one either, but Far Cry itself, fantastic franchise. So they do have the ability to be able to create good video games. It's just what they're going to do with Sonic is what I'm trying to say. The Division came out in 2016. Yeah, it did, March 2016, so thankfully out of the boundary. Okay, well, I can still take The Division 2 in there, which I do think was a very good game as well, just not as good as the first one. So, I mean, in the last 6 years, that would take us to 2016, right? We're in 2022. Oh, it just falls out because it was out in March. Okay, I get your point. You can have that one out of that bracket then. But I'm going to increase the bracket to the last 7 years. And The Division came out, and that was an exceptionally good game. I'm only joking. But anyway, yeah, I do think that they've got the tools to be able to do it. It's just whether or not they can try and keep people's attention to be able to do it whilst using one of the most well-known video game characters there's probably ever going to be. I can't ever see Sonic being out of the limelight in terms of what's the biggest and best mascot for video games. Obviously, things like Tomb Raider, that kind of fell out. Crash Bandicoot, that kind of fell out, but ended up coming back with the Tomb Raider trilogy and Crash Bandicoot 4. Like, they were fantastic games. Crash Bandicoot Racing ended up getting re-released and remade. A fantastic game. So they do have the ability to be able to put them back into mainstream media with what made them popular in the first place. Will it be just as popular as it once was? I don't know. I did really like The Division though. Great game, really liked it, but put it down once and sadly never picked it back up against the Chappers. Sometimes happens. Shane really did the same with the Infamous 2, even though I liked that as well. I knew Tino were going to chip in on this one, which is why I tried baiting him in with the Division stuff, because I know he's a massive fan of the Division. He says played way too many hours of the Division and the Division 2. So again, it's people that I know that have played the open world Ubisoft games that have enjoyed them probably to the absolute max at certain points while playing through it, and then maybe kind of grown tired with the format and what's kind of being put down the throats if it gets a bit too repetitive and stuff. That's something that open world games seem to struggle with, like the notion of this is what you need to do, and then 10 missions later it's the same thing just in a different way. Like, you'll have to go and pick up a parcel. 10 missions later, then it'll go and pick up a person, but the end goal is still the same: deliver them from A to B. Like, there's mixing it up, and then there's just copy and paste, and they're just changing the elements slightly, which is a shame. But it's difficult to create concepts for everyone to enjoy, unfortunately. So moving on then. That was a Ubisoft thing. I think we've got this is like three angles of Ubisoft at this point. So I'll start with this one, and then we'll move on to the next one. How's about that? So getting back into some Sega news. That's definitely me still on the screen. Written on VGC by Tom Ivan, he states that the Sega Mega Drive Mini 2 has now been confirmed for Europe, with pre-orders opening in September ahead of a late October launch. While the miniature console was previously announced for release in Japan and the US, it was confirmed for Europe on Friday. The Sega Mega Drive 2, or the Genesis Mini 2, will launch in Japan, North America and Europe on October 27th. European pre-orders will open for the Mega Drive Mini 2 in September, and Sega said that the description of the newly released video above, which releases the entire Western games lineup, 6 minutes long, otherwise I would have played that for you. During the live screen, I tell you what, I'll drop this into the chat for you guys. If you are watching this on any of our on-demand services, go into the description below. You'll find the link to this, and you can have a look for yourself, because chances are I'm probably not going to name all the games here for you. But during a live stream on Friday, Sega also confirmed that the console's full Japanese lineup of games too. The final batch of announcements is included of a number of brand new titles and new ports, and this is the tweet written by Sega. It says, "Welcome to the next level. Mega are happy to confirm the Mega Drive 2 in Europe arrives on October 27th, and the same day the Genesis Mini 2 in North America. This is a full list of 60 plus 1 games, including all new ports previously unreleased and Sega CD titles. The brand new games announced were Party Quiz Mega Q22, Japan only, Party Quiz Sega Q, Japan only, Devi and P, which was created by Takeshi Lizuka before he joined the Sonic 3 team. Meanwhile, the new Mega Drive ports of Suka Locomotive, Puyo Puyo, Sun and Space, Harrier 2 have been added, the later being enhanced port with smoother scrolling. Sega representatives recently told Polygon that the Sega Mega the Genesis Mini 2 will also have 1/10 of the supply of the 2019 Sega Genesis Mini due to the ongoing global semiconductor shortage. Basically, it's going to be a scalper's heaven if they can get their hands on this console. Do you know what? I do feel like I want to go through the games. Is there going to be like a big long list on this that I can go through? No, there isn't, is there? It's just going to show the games one by one, which is kind of annoying. Can I find the list? Let's go and have a look on the Sega tweets. Let's go and have a look. I do want to have a scan through them, if I'm being honest. Are you going to have the list? Is it a subtweet? Please have a subtweet. No. Okay, what I'll do is I'll bring it back on screen, then I see if I can try and find the list of it. Sega Genesis Mini 2 games list. Here we go. Woo! Right, I found them. I found them. Hopefully this is going to be a banger. So, we've got Sega Genesis Mini 2 full games list. We've got Afterburner 2, Alien Soldier, Atomic Runner, Bonanza Bros, Clay Fighter, Crusader of Century, Desert Strike, Return of the Gulf. Yes! I fucking love Desert Strike. Earthworm Jim 2, Elemental Master, Fatal Fury, I want to say Gain Control, that's not right. Gain Ground, Golden Axe 2, banger of a game, Granada, Hellfire, Zerzog's Wii, Lightning Force, Quest for the Dark Star, Midnight Resistance, Outrunners, Phantasy Star 2, Populous, Rainbow Islands Extra. Oh, I'm guessing Rainbow Islands. This is the extra game. Ranger X, Rise Star, Rolling Thunder 2, Shadow Dancer, The Secret of Shinobi. I do love the Shinobi games. Shining Force 2, Shining of the Darkness, Sonic 3D Blast, Splatterhouse 2, Streets of Rage 3, Sonic Super Hang-On, fantastic game. Super Street Fighter 2, the new challengers, The Ooze, Revenge of Shinobi, Toe Jam and Earl, that'll make Mr. Hughes very happy. Truxton, Vectormania 2, Viewpoint, Virtua Racing, and Warsong. Then on the Sega CD side of things is Echo the Dolphin, banger of a game, Echo the Tides of Time, Final Fight CD, Mansion of the Hidden Souls, Night Striker, Night Trap, Robo Aleste, Sewer Shark, Shining Force CD, Sliphead, and Sonic the Hedgehog CD, The Ninja Warriors. Plus bonus games, Divine P, Fantasy Zone, Space Harrier 2, plus the original Space Harrier, Splatter, Star Mobile, Super Locomotive, and versus Puyo Puyo Sun. So there's a lot of games for you to be able to digest there. It's not the lineup that I will be super happy with, if I'm being totally honest. Like, there's a lot of games in there that I've never played or never heard of, and that's not a dig at the people who have created the list for this, because obviously I was a young lad when this came out, so I only got to play the games that I physically got from my granddad, my mum, my nan. Playing games like Golden Axe with my granddad, playing Streets of Rage with my granddad, these co-op games like that, that's what got me into video games in the first place. So having Desert Strike in that list is instantly like, yes, please. I fucking love Desert Strike. So it's not the kind of list that I'm gonna go, do you know what? Day one purchase, yes, please, mate. Unfortunately, but this will please people who may be 8 or 9 years older than me, who would have been playing these games in their pomp. I mean, I say 8 or 9 years. That's probably the bottom line. The top line would be people who are 10, 15 years older than me that would have absolutely been able to come home from a day's work and be able to jump into these games. So I know that these lists aren't aimed at me. The game list that would have been aimed at me would have been like the original, the PlayStation 1 Classic. Like, though that list stunk. That was a honking list of games for people to be able to go back and play. Those were games that should have been aimed at me, that I would have been able to play in their absolute pomp, but they were just old ass. Like, MGS being on there, fantastic. Resident Evil being on there, fantastic. Do you know what I mean? There was a couple of other games on there that you think, yeah, that's banging, like the original GTA and stuff. Like, I think that was on there, the original GTA. I can't remember now, but I just remember Resident Evil being on there going, yes, fantastic, fantastic. But these aren't the games that I would have selected. I understand that a lot of the other ones that would have been selected would have been on the previous edition of the Sega Mega Drive, and these are just other games that people would have wanted as well. But looking back at the tweets that people have replied to this going, where's this game, where's this game, where's this game, I do believe that people will be emulating and putting and providing games better than what's on this list, like we have done with the previous retro versions of this console. Super Hang-On being on there, yes please, like that was a great game. But yeah, I don't know if anybody else is currently looking at potentially getting one of these consoles as and when they come out. Phantasy Star, that was a decent game. I'm fairly certain Phantasy Star came out on the PlayStation. I don't think I've got it to hand. I don't think I have. Do you remember the Sega collection that came out on PlayStation 4? It might be behind some of these games. Is it behind this one? No, it's not. It'd be on here somewhere. I don't particularly know where. Or it might be in one of my boxes in there. But there was a PlayStation collection that came out of Sega games, and that was a decent collection. I mean, it had all of the Sonics on there. It had most of the Golden Axes on there. Streets of Rage, stuff like that. Games that you would expect to have in a collection of Sega games. But obviously this is built for, again, people who are older than me, unfortunately. Shadow Danger, that's another banging game. I would love a collection with like Terminator versus RoboCop versus Terminator and stuff like that. Games that people probably haven't played or never seen before, rather than just having all of the bangers all the time. I know that kind of contradicts what I've just said, but still, there's elements of games and gaming history that people may not have ever been able to, like Shining in the Darkness. That's a good one. Outrun. That's another good game. So it's not the best list in the world. I do think it's a passable list, but there is a lot of old ass on there too. Tito says waiting for the Dreamcast Mini. I imagine I think that's a long way off, but I also think that could be a very expensive purchase because of the caliber of games that was out at the time. Like that, the list of Dreamcast games that are going to be on there is 110% going to be controversial. Like there's going to be stuff on there that people will just be kicking off about because it was missed in the first place. It's bizarre, but that's just where we are at. Dave says, me and Graham spent ages to gain ground, and he only managed to complete it once. On Gain Ground, he only managed to complete it once. Sorry. Gain Ground, that doesn't ring any bells in my mind, so I'm going to have a look through. I'm just going to Google it quickly. Gain Ground. Let's have a look. I'm trying to work out what kind of game it is. It looks like a bullet hell game, but without a spaceship or something. Is that right? It looks like Gauntlet, but got moving up like a bullet hell game. Interesting. I need Power Stone, Jet Set Radio, Crazy Taxi, and Ready to Rumble boxing in my life, but also they had House of the Dead on there as well, which is fantastic. Virtual Striker, another fantastic game. So games like that, I don't know whether or not they would ever make the cut, but they should make the cut. But yeah, Gain Ground. I've never come across this one before, but it looks like a bullet hell game in the style of Gauntlet, where you're just moving towards the top of the screen, though, which is interesting. An interesting blend, shall we say. We've got 2 news stories as far as I can count, and ones that I've ticked off here. So let's get into this one then and get the show on the road. Bosh. Written on VG247 by Ush Kuhnke. I need them to say the name just once, and then I will absolutely nail it. Do you know what I mean? I just need the name to be repeated to me once, and then it'll stick in my brain forever. So I apologise that I keep on butchering it. But yeah, I do apologise. Did Virtua Striker have any license in it because it caused issues? If so, I don't think it did. I think that it was like England and Germany, but the players wasn't replica players. I don't think. Maybe the only licensing that I can remember was the Adidas ball because it was the World Cup ball. That's the only licensing that I can remember. I don't think it has any player licenses in there. But anyway, one bit of farmland in Redfall is apparently bigger than all of Prey's whole map. A video of QuakeCon goes on to all the details in the upcoming shooter. Redfall is set to be Arcane's biggest game yet, with one particular area being with one particular area bigger than the entirety setting of the studio's older game, Prey. QuakeCon has come and gone, but not without diving into some details on the upcoming vampire-ridden first-person shooter, Redfall. As part of the convention's digital event, developers from Arcane Austin, including studio director Harvey Smith, spoke on what the game is and what the players can expect. During the conversation between the developers, the size of the map was brought up. Speaking to the size, I think that Talos in Prey was 5 football fields, and the size of Redfall is kind of like "Oh my bear," art director Karen Seegers said in the video. Smith provided some more context on the size and saying, I remember early on there was a moment where we was working on District 2, which is a little bit more rural, and Jim McGill took the Talos at scale and dropped it in the middle of the farm that's there. And that's the district, just eats the whole space station. Of course, it's gigantic. Interestingly, while Smith did note that it's an open world title, it isn't one made with the context of traversing via a vehicle, as you'll be spending most of your time exploring the scenic views of Redfall on foot. You can traverse the place going into the mom and pop grocery stores, apartments, getting on the roof of buildings, said Smith, and we tried to put in as many many environmental storytelling scenes around as we possibly can. And so it just feels very lived in. Each character apparently has their own skill tree too, with a number of abilities to choose from between each character. Weapons sound like they will be a lot of fun too, with one useful particular weapon that was highlighted, a stake gun, sound like it would be a very useful tool. Stakes can be made from broken off pool cues or snapped off from mop handles, which feel very fun and a practical way of bringing an interesting weapon into the game. The full video is worth watching, so as all previously released trailers haven't given the strongest idea of what the game actually might be in practice. PC, Game Pass, blah, blah, blah. We all know what Game Pass is. I'll drop this in here for anyone that actually wants to watch the trailer from this. But this is definitely one of the games that I am super looking forward to getting my hands on. Like, since we very first saw the trailer for this game, this is like, right, BB game. This is the game that I want to be able to go into with 3 of my friends and just explore. Like, I'm not necessarily getting Left 4 Dead vibes. I'm also not necessarily getting Back 4 Blood vibes. But what I'm getting is some kind of in between that, maybe a bit of State of Decay, where we're just going around, we're trying to load up, we're trying to get new weapons, we're trying to have new armor being put in, and just going to a full-fledged war. We don't really know what the premise of the game is. I haven't watched this. You may go into a bit more detail with it. So again, it's got to a point nowadays where trailers don't really get me that excited anymore. I want to read hands-on impressions. That's what's getting me excited about video games. I'm past the point now of watching a trailer going, fuck yeah, I'm all in, baby. There's my £55 for whatever it is to pre-order the game. I want to hear people's hands-on with games. I think that's where, that is where I get my kicks. That is where I find the people who I trust to give me video games news, and their hands-on impressions is exactly what I base my pre-orders on, or whenever I'm going out on the same day to go and buy it. That's the long and short of it. So I'm looking forward to hearing more from this. It definitely looks interesting. The practice that's been put in with this game definitely stinks of a co-op adventure with your friends, as well as obviously having the single player experience too. You obviously can't forget that, because people might not necessarily have close friends that play video games, so you obviously need to cater to that audience too, which is obviously where Grand Theft Auto 5 Online kind of falls down, unless you're literally going around the city and trying to make friends in there to be able to do stuff with. But definitely on my list of games to look out for. Definitely should be in your radars as well. And then when we can find something that we actually trust when a game comes out, to see whether or not it is something that you should be spending your money on. Tito says, a new Dead Rising game, that's what we need. I'm not... I agree, but is that the kind of game that would do well nowadays? I haven't got the answer for you, by the way. I'm genuinely asking you, do you feel like a game like Dead Rising would survive and do well, no pun intended, in this day and age? That's what I'm kind of a little bit worried about with Dead Island. Has the boat gone too far and completely missed it for it to be of relevance? Because for all intents and purposes, Dying Light 2 died on its ass. And I don't know any of the figures of how much that sold. All I know is that the people I know who played it said that the first one is way better and they haven't finished the second one. That's the things that I'm worried about. Because when you leave it so long in between games and you're looking after the first game so well, taking the Division back into this argument again. Same with Destiny. You've worked so hard on creating the original game itself that when the second game comes out, it's missing a lot of the things that made the first game decent, because they haven't patched it into the game yet, or haven't got as much content in there to try and make people or entice them to keep on logging back in and playing. That's the kind of thing that I'm worried about with most games nowadays that are making sequels to games that were 4 or 5 years prior, and in some cases 10 years prior. So hopefully if we do get games like that, they'll do well by their own standpoint, but just off of the name itself doesn't necessarily, because that's a completely different generation of gamers. Like, games that I played as a 15-year-old, a lot of people probably aren't going back and playing now. It's just a completely different way of playing games, isn't it? Like, we've had 3 different console generations during that time. Things move on, man. Especially in the video game world where everything moves so fast. But we've got one more news story for you today. It's another Ubisoft one. The Ubisoft Plus subscription service may soon be launched on Xbox, written on VGC by Jordan Midler. And he states that the Ubisoft subscription service, Ubisoft Plus, may soon launch on Xbox, and a logo for the service has been found by Illumia Italia, a user that scrapes the Xbox backend. The service that was announced to be coming to Xbox in January, but this could indicate that Ubisoft is getting closer to launch, currently with its PC-only service on Xbox soon. Originally launched for PC as Uplay in September 2019, Ubisoft Plus offers access to over 100 Ubisoft titles, including new games, DLC at launch for $14.99, for $12.99 English pounds, or $14.99 in euros, for $17.99, $14.99, or $17.99 either in dollars, pounds, or euros per month. Subscribers can access to Ubisoft Plus on cloud gaming platforms such as Stadia as well. I apologise, I've just hiccuped. We will offer the Ubisoft Plus subscription service to Xbox owners so that they can enjoy the full extent of Ubisoft Plus gaming library, including new releases on their consoles, says Chris Early, Ubisoft's Senior VP of Strategic Partnerships and Business Development at the time of this announcement. Ubisoft currently offers a large section of classic games as part of their certain tiers of PlayStation Plus. It's unclear if Ubisoft Plus will integrate into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate in the same way that EA Plus is. However, EA Play also offers a PC-only tier, which gives users new fully priced games as part of their subscription. This isn't offered on consoles currently. There will be no word of Ubisoft Plus will also offer PlayStation. It was reported earlier this month that Tencent is reportedly interested in acquiring larger stakes in Ubisoft. According to Reuters, China's largest gaming company, which currently already owns 5% of the Assassin's Creed publisher, is seeking a larger share of the company and has reached out to French firms founding Guillemot family and expressed an interest in increasing stake in the firm. However, Reuters notes also unclear as how much the company at Tencent wishes to purchase. Ubisoft is currently valued at $5.3 billion. So, first thoughts, I don't think this is going to be part of your Game Pass. I do believe that there will be a difference in price. You may have to pay something. It may be just as much as £5 to have it included on top of your Game Pass subscription. I don't believe that this is going to be a free service for them. I'm not even going to say that that's a shame, because they need to make money somewhere, don't they? At the end of the day, they need to make money. So if they can include that as part of your pass, fantastic. If they can't, then you will have to pay for it. Maybe not full price, but pay something. So I suppose we're going to have to wait and find out. It was currently scheduled for January. We could end up seeing it a lot sooner than that. It could be something as soon as this week, towards the end of the week at Gamescom, where it gets announced. But again, it looks like the subscription models, it feels like we're paying more nowadays for content than we have ever done. And I know on the basis that sounds ridiculous, but you might end up buying a new game once every month, once every 2 months. If you are like hardcore into one particular game, you can get 100 hours out of it, bosh. But you look at all the services that we have to pay for nowadays, unless I still think that Game Pass is 110% worth your money. Amazon Prime probably isn't worth your money unless you order stuff off that website quite a lot, or you enjoy watching the content that they put out. Netflix nowadays is not worth your money. I feel like it's just most of it's a load of old arse. Unless there is something that comes out on that brand new day one, it's probably not worth your money. Disney Plus, is that worth your money? I still think it's hard to tell. But the amount of subscription services nowadays, you're probably clearing. If you have Sky as well, you're probably looking at about £120 a month for all of the services that people are putting in front of your face nowadays, which is it's a bit steep, innit? It's a bit steep, including obviously like PlayStation Plus and Extra and the premium. Like, there's so many different services out there for that. They want to be able to take your money every single month to guarantee that they will have that influx of money coming in. It's difficult to have them all going. Netflix is a get 1 month every now and again and binge watch, then forget about it for 6 months. 100% agree. 110% agree. It's just not worth your money anymore. You know what? You can probably put Disney Plus into that as well. When a brand new show comes out, get it done. Bosh. Apple TV, I'll subscribe to that when Ted Lasso comes out. But apart from that, like for the other 10 months of the year, I'm not subscribing to it. I'm sorry, but the content that's on there, the morning show was really good too. But it's just not worth your time and money. But anyway, speaking of not worth your time and money, this podcast is about to end. thank you very much to each and every single one of you that have joined us for today's episode of The Scoop. We go live each and every single weekday at 10 a.m.-ish. It's usually a two-man job. However, Graham is currently at Gamescom, so keep it locked on the ICU account and onto our Discord as well, because we will be posting, Graham will be posting stuff that he sees over at Gamescom, cool stuff that he thinks you guys will like, or you might just tweet it and say, this is a Bibby game. That's all he needs to say, and then everyone will instant know whether or not, yeah, it looks a bit naff, or yeah, that's a 110%, looks like a Bibby game. He's probably going to play it for 3 minutes and then put it down. But anyway, we need your help to help shape the show on Wednesday, because there will be no episode of The Scoop tomorrow, because we are doing super duper cool things, but they are also super duper secret things. So hopefully we'll be able to tell you what they are at some point this week, maybe. I can't necessarily tell you when, but anyway, help shape Wednesday's show by doing two things. First of all, find us on social media. That's Ice Cream Uploads across all major social media platforms, or alternatively, get involved with our Discord. The Discord doesn't stop, and neither does the conversation. So if you want to help shape those shows, all you need to do is supply the links and your thoughts and impressions. I will then give you my thoughts and impressions on Wednesday when we go live at 110% guaranteed 10 a.m. It's probably not. I'm going to say that right now. 10 a.m. is a pipe dream on Wednesday. So if we go live at 10 a.m., it's a cry for help. That's how confident I am that it's not going to happen, because I will be in the office and I have a lot of work to do before. I don't know when my deadline is. Probably something I should know. It's probably something I should know. So yeah, it's probably going to be an afternoon one, if I'm being honest. So set your alarms for at least 1 o'clock. It may be after that. But yeah, that is it for today. Stick around though, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire you over to someone who is obviously streaming at this time. He's probably going to do more than an hour's work. So if you could go over there, say hi. If you can't stick around, that's absolutely fine. We absolutely understand. But as always, guys, there's one thing that I want you to do. And that, my friends, is to stay frosty.